Get your earballs ready. Welcome to the Greg and Tim Show podcast. Take time to sit back and relax and enjoy the show. Here are your hosts, Greg and Tim.
Well, welcome back to the Greg and Tim Show. It is so great to have you back in our studio, in our living room. And we have a treat for everyone out there. If you're from the city of Winnipeg and you're familiar with the CFL.
Or the city of Vancouver.
Yeah, you will know the name Adam Bighill.
Yeah.
And, of course, he's a fabulous player for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Used to play for the BC Lions.
Yep.
But he isn't just about
three
football.
Grey Cup rings, I believe. And, he's not just a football guy.
Yeah.
He's also...
He's a financial expert. He's actually my advisor with our investments. And even more than that, he's involved.
Are you allowed to say that with customer advisor confidentiality?
I'm pretty sure I'm allowed to say
just
that,
making sure that you're allowed to say that.
I'm pretty sure I'm allowed to. He does. By the way, he does a great job of it. Yeah. And a lot of youth flag football, I think he talked about.
He talked about youth football and his charitable work.
Yeah. He just donates his time and a lot of the things that he does to, the youth. And he goes on and on about other things. But I really am looking forward to this interview. And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're not already, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss future interviews. And click the old like button before we get into it, and
share with your friends.
Share with your friends. Share with your friends. Sharing is caring.
And your enemies.
And
really anybody.
And get your earballs ready, because here comes Adam Bighill.
Hope you enjoy.
Well, welcome here, Adam. It's great to see you in studio. How's it going today?
Yeah, good to be here. Going well. It's been a busy day, but it's always good to chat with you guys.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to ask you the first question, and I told this to Greg before you got here, but this is a dreaded question for me. I hate this question, but it's here on the list. I have to ask. In your own words, who is Adam Bighill?
Oh, man, that's a good question. Well, everyone knows me as a football player, but and obviously, professional athletes, that's kind of all people really see is that part of their life, but they forget that they're humans outside of the professional sports world. So, I am a football player, but I am, I'm a investment advisor, focus on, wealth management for clients. I'm a father, I'm a friend, and person who cares about their community. So I'm kind of a lot of things, and I could be considered a jock, a nerd, a computer geek, a math freak, a science nerd, whatever. I'm kind of a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Right?
So you say you're a little bit of a nerd. Obviously, for football, you don't put that out there. You got like the tinted visor. You've got the yelling, you got the celebrations, all that kind of stuff, right? So are you okay with us sharing that?
Well, at the end of the day, here's the thing. Me nerding out over film and statistical analysis on how to defeat my opponents allows me to be who I am on the field, a savage warrior, and dominate, right? So you got to have multiple facets, I think, in your personality, in your game to be the best person you can be, right? Whether it's a football or your job or your career or as a husband, you got to be more than one thing.
Yeah.
And
multifaceted.
So based on his question, he thinks being a nerd is a negative thing.
No, I'm a nerd too. I'm a nerd too.
You're a nerd too?
Yeah, well, look at this place. Every day I look at how can I make this place look a little nerdier?
Right.
And I do it.
I appreciate technology. I appreciate how to make things easier, more efficient. I appreciate, just streamlining processes. I appreciate all of that. Like video games, all that kind of stuff.
Awesome. Can you tell us something that people may not know about Adam Bighill?
Yeah.
Some weird, quirky fact.
I can play the guitar a little bit.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. I can play some Metallica riffs, and
so electric or acoustic?
Electric preferred. But,
so
you can play either, but I prefer, electric, get the pedal going, get some grunge going.
Are you and Drew ever jamming out?
Funny thing is, Drew Wolotarski was my roommate my first year in Winnipeg.
Oh yeah?
So he was just getting going on the guitar, for real, just learning. I actually I think I showed him just a couple things that I could play, and he's like, dude, that's so dope. I got to learn how to play that.
Yeah.
And I just told him how I started, and I'm like, yeah, you take some lessons, don't do what I did.
Yeah.
Or just dive into it, and you'll be really good. And look at him now; he's playing shows and rocking out, and 1,000 times better than I'll ever be. But it was cool to see his growth. I mean, in a short amount of time, like 3 years.
He took that on like you took on finance.
Yeah, 3 years. He's like a rock star.
Yeah. That's awesome. So you're in Winnipeg now, and you have been here for, it's been a fair bit of years now, and you've decided to put down roots. As we see, you're sharing on Instagram, you're sharing all the stuff that you're doing in and around Winnipeg and Manitoba. What made you pick here?
Well, when we came here from New Orleans at the NFL and signed with Winnipeg, didn't know much about Winnipeg, and obviously the only time we came and played Winnipeg in BC when I was with the Lions, for whatever reason, I swear it was like October only.
Yeah, it always seems
like,
to be.
And I was like, had this view of Winnipeg in such a negative slant. Like, it's always cold. It happened to be gray all the time and hardly ever sunny. We stayed down by the airport, and like there's nothing near there to walk and grab food. And even when I got into the league, obviously there's not like Uber Eats, Uber. You can't get you can't even. You had to get a taxi if you're going to go anywhere, right? Yeah. And I don't even know where I'm going. I'm just walking around trying to food. I was just like, man, this place. I don't know. This place sucks.
So Kyle Walters is somehow a negotiation genius to get you to come over here.
Well, there's a lot to it, but like when I got here, like the summer I was here in 2018 was just beautiful, amazing weather, like a lot of really well kept secrets about Winnipeg apparently that I had no idea about. So I had a really good time. Family adjusted really well. The community here, loved having us being here. It was a really good vibe. And so it made it pretty easy to look at, re-signing and moving my family here. I was at the same time looking at starting a wealth management career.
Yeah.
And there was a big opportunity here in Winnipeg for me to do that and play.
Yeah.
Where a lot of wealth management firms wanted me to retire and then come work for them. And, while that still was an option, it just wasn't the best option. Charlie Spiring, founder of Wellington Altus, said, we had Jennifer Jones on our team at one time, and she was curling and working for us, and it worked really well. It was good for the firm, good for her, and we'd be dumb not to do the same thing with you.
Yeah. And
so, that's what I've been able to do for the last 4 years, and it really was a part of that, and part is Winnipeg being a nice surprise was
in the summertime.
Was allowed for us to stay year round, and sure enough, the first winter we were here was kind of brutal just because it was COVID, and everyone's stuck in their house, and that sucked,
So your family wasn't here for their first year? Did they move?
Well, they were out here for the season. Then we went back to Vancouver.
Right. Okay.
Signed a 3-year deal, and we officially moved out here in May of 2019.
Right. And you built,
and we were renting, and then we built a home. Yeah. And so while we were renting, we were building, and this is home base.
So give me, and you've been in Winnipeg for a number of years now. Give me your top 3 date night places to take your wife.
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I really like going to Tommy's Pizzeria because I like their food. They have a great kitchen, not just pizza.
Yeah.
They have burgers, they got tacos they put on the menu. They've got really, really good food.
I haven't been to Tommy's. Have you been to Tommy's?
It's a great vibe.
I see it all the time.
It's a great vibe in there.
Is it?
I've never been in there.
Yeah, they have a really good patio.
Okay.
So I really like Tommy's. I like P.F. Chang's, we really
I see that one all the time for you guys.
Like P.F. Chang's, we like going there. And even Brazen Hall, we really like Brazen Hall. We like trying different kind of food types are some of our favorite places to go. But
do you consider yourselves foodies?
I guess to some degree. We definitely appreciate different cuisine, cuisine for sure.
Yeah.
She's Italian, Croatian, and I'm a mix of a ton of Finnish, Swedish, even my actually on my mom's side there's even some French Canadian.
Oh wow.
So who knows, at one point I could have maybe been a national here if anyone got their Canadian passports, you know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
Kind of date wise, we do going to the forts, spending some time walking around the forts, walking through the trails there, stuff like that. it's kind of been fun.
Yeah, this had nothing to do with the interview. I just need date ideas for my wife. So thank you very much for that. You have a 10-year anniversary coming up, correct?
Correct.
In May, if I'm not mistaken.
May 10th.
Look at this guy, eh? He's getting his homework.
What's the plan? Spill the beans. What are you going to do?
Oh, no, here's the thing. If he spills the beans, then people are going to show up.
Is it
No, we're actually trying to decide what we want to do right now. Like, we've been working on it, and whether we take a quick trip. I mean, May 10th, right? Like, training camp is probably like May 12th, May 14th, so it makes it really tricky. So, maybe a week ahead of time, we'll go celebrate somewhere for a couple of days. I don't know what it's going to look like. If it's here in the province, or if we go to Vancouver, or I don't know.
Could be Clear Lake.
Could be Clear Lake.
They just built the Nordic Spa at Elkhorn. I don't know if you went to Elkhorn in the summer.
I did. I went there. It was there. I was watching them construct it. It looked pretty cool. Like, it's that same kind of
like Thermea
spa vibe, right? So it'd be a great place to go.
It looks like it's going to be. It looks like it's going to be a hot spot in Manitoba, right? Like, it is a long drive from here, though. So
they make it as a good destination, right? There's stuff you can do up there.
It's not too long.
Well, so you play with a lot of American players, right? So I was just in Texas last year, and when I was down there was a lot of people. Like, we were traveling to different places around Dallas and around San Antonio and everything like that. And we visited some people in San Antonio, and every time we had to travel somewhere, it was about a half an hour away in San Antonio. But they were always like, "Oh, it's so far away." I come from here, where everything's like an hour and a half away. If you want to do something like a cottage or anything like that, right?
Lake, yeah.
Do any of the guys complain about how sprawling Manitoba is or anything like that?
Not really, because most guys are just traveling to the stadium and back. Like,
they're here for football.
Yeah, they're not really getting out and about. And even for me, I'm a small town guy. It would take me 5 minutes to go across my entire town of 5,000 people growing up. We had one stoplight, right? So
where was that?
Montesano, Washington.
Okay.
And then I go to Ellensburg at Central Washington University, and it's a town of about 15,000 plus 10,000 students. Bigger, more offerings, more things to do, but you're still, if you want to go to Costco, you're going 35 minutes to Yakima. Yeah. Stuff like that. And then I go to Vancouver, and that blew my mind. I've been to Seattle, been to Olympia, been many times, but when you live in a place that's so big, you're literally traveling 25 minutes to go 10 kilometers.
Yeah.
And you're like, what's going on? You're scratching your head. So it takes literally in Vancouver, to get downtown from South Surrey, you're looking at 45 minutes with no traffic to an hour and 15 with traffic. And then you're one accident away from a bridge being canceled and closed down, and you got a 4-hour drive.
Yeah.
And so Winnipeg's not bad. You can get around, and Manitoba, you can get around pretty well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Last question about Winnipeg. What are the main differences that you found living in Vancouver versus Winnipeg? And what kind of things do you appreciate about Winnipeg that maybe someone that's lived here their whole lives may be taking for granted?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, honestly, I think one of the biggest things being a West Coast guy is the sun. There's a lot more sun in Manitoba year round. Sure, the winters are cold, but live on the West Coast your entire life and tell me if you really enjoy bleak, dreary, gray rain throughout the winter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not fun.
So you lived there when you played for BC through the whole season, or did you go back down south?
Yeah, I lived in Vancouver. Yeah.
So you did year round there as well. So year round Vancouver, year round Winnipeg. Obviously, there's some big differences there.
Yeah, for sure.
Get into snowmobiling yet?
I've done a little bit with some friends out here. Yeah. I guess snowmobiling and outdoor activities are going to be a lot more fun out there in Vancouver, West Coast.
Yeah.
You got mountains that you can drive up these things. Yeah. You got hiking you can do. There's skiing, snowboarding's a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Right. So coming out here, people saying they're going to go snowboarding, and I don't know if you really could call it that. Yeah. You'll have some fun, but if you really want to go, I can point you to the place.
Yeah.
So I think there's probably more opportunity to do things on the West Coast. You can't ignore that. I think there's a lot of lakes here. There's a lot of cottages. There's a lot of things you can do here. I still think the water on the West Coast is better. All the lakes and rivers, cleaner, fresher, more blue, just better quality water even. Not saying it's not a bad thing here. It's just I think it's better on the West Coast.
Yeah.
But the thing you're looking at, like affordability and costly living, to live in a place like that, it's so out of price. Like, people, and families, young couples, me and my wife's age, they have to move an hour and a half out of the city. I mean, like, you got to commute so far to go do stuff. The prices are insane, crazy. Yeah. You're renting. You can't afford to buy anything. So what kind of life is that either, right? You can't afford to do anything fun. Yeah. You're literally just trying to pay your rent.
Whereas here you can go to Vancouver.
Well, here you have the ability to travel and the flexibility, and I really enjoy that. I don't. It's very, very big difference for me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Do you think that's one of the reasons why a lot of players come to Winnipeg?
No, I don't think people even think about it.
No?
Are you talking about currently why players come here?
Yeah.
No, they probably don't even think about it. Maybe a little bit cost of living of okay, well, it's easier for me to rent and cheaper. But people are coming to Winnipeg because they want to win.
Yeah. Well, it's a good place.
And there's a lot of other good things that come with it.
Yeah.
Great organization, good locker room, good coaching, obviously success. But players get taken care of very well here. The environment's a very positive one that allows you to be successful quite easily. Not all places are like that.
That's a great transition into the next topic you got. He's transitioning for you right now.
I'm doing your job, huh?
Doing my job. It's not that hard. By the way, I'm one of those weird people that love dreary, not cold, but rainy days.
He's a hiker, right?
Yeah.
I'm a hiker too, but I mean,
I could sit there, rain coming down, and for days. I could live in Seattle and Vancouver. But I'm strange. We've gone through this in previous episodes. I'm a weirdo.
So 30 days in a row doesn't bother you?
What's that?
30 days in a row doesn't bother you?
No. Well, I've never experienced 30 days in a row, so I wouldn't know. But
okay.
we actually went to Vancouver a year and a bit ago.
We were lucky though. We actually went in October of 2022.
Yeah.
And we were there for a whole week, and it didn't rain once.
Yeah. Sunny.
And people in Vancouver, every time we saw somebody from Vancouver, they'd be like, this isn't normal. Yeah. It rains here all the time at this time, and it didn't rain once. We got the whole week. Okay. And we saw you guys, that's the week that you guys were there.
That's right.
And we got to see you guys play, and yeah, it was a great week in Vancouver. But yeah, if it was, I wouldn't be able to deal with it. I'm a horrible person with cloudiness.
Yeah, as we've explained, I'm kind of a different bird. Things are concerned. So transitioning like you were doing between the NFL and the CFL, you've had a few workouts, I think, with the New Orleans Saints earlier on in your career. How are the workouts different from the NFL to the CFL in the preseason?
You're talking about actual preseason training camp?
Yes, the training camp. How is that different from both leagues?
Training camp in the CFL is about 2.5 weeks. Well, just around 3 weeks probably. You get a really 8 to 10 days of practice, and you're really looking at your first preseason game.
Yeah.
And you bang those two out, you're looking at 3 weeks ish of practice, 2 preseason games, and then in the NFL you're looking at 6, pretty close to 5.5, 6 weeks of preseason.
It's grueling in the NFL,
4
right?
Preseason games. Honestly, it's a bit easier.
Oh, really?
They don't have 2 days on there. You can't do 2 days. You can do 1 practice and 1 walkthrough, but it has to be a walkthrough. No gear, tennis shoes, hats, right?
Casual.
Is that because of the Players Association and the deals there?
In terms of the agreements, collective agreement. And then you also get 1 day off a week in the NFL training camp. So I think it was Sundays we had the day off.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah. That's awesome then.
So I mean, they practices are about 3 hours long, so they do work you, but you do have the ability to be refreshed, and spend time on your body. While the intensity of training camp and learning and install meetings is still grueling, and you're not done until 9:30, 10 at night.
Yeah,
there's still time in the day where you can still get an hour here and an hour there of recovery, workouts,
Some cold tubs.
cryotherapy,
Guys,
everything.
Cold tubs.
You're on it?
He's scared of them.
Oh, you're.
I want to do them. I'm a little bit scared of them. We did something on an interview.
No, we can talk about it. It's already aired.
We had someone on that he had a challenge for us. Greg had a challenge for the two of us, and that was to sit. It was like minus 35 outside, and we went out in our shorts, and we sat there outside in the cold for 2 minutes and did snow angels, and it was so cold.
She did a snow angel for 2 minutes?
Yeah.
No, he did a snow angel for 5 seconds.
No, but
we did sit there for a fair bit. We sat there for, it was about 4 minutes. I looked at the tape.
Okay.
4 minutes we sat there in the snow, just in our bathing suits. I have a hot tub as well, right? So
I'm not used to it.
No.
So I'm crying the whole time.
So I have a following of the Wim Hof theory.
Yeah.
Do you follow that at all?
Yeah.
So the breathing and the cold and everything like that. So we did the breathing first, then we did the cold, and then we did the hot afterwards, just to make him more comfortable.
And when we actually tell him the story about when we did go to Vancouver.
Oh, Vancouver. So you've been to Kitsilano Beach?
Yeah.
So we did Kitsilano Beach in October, that week that you guys played. And because it was so nice out, it was probably about 18, 19 degrees out.
You're the only one swimming or what?
We were one of the only couple swimming.
Yeah.
But we went in, and because I kept going.
We were like,
We were the only two that went up to our chins.
So
basically.
in fairness to me, first of all, before he tells the story,
So I kept going, so he kept coming because he doesn't want to be the guy that doesn't do something, right? And as we get there, he's basically like, okay, time to go in. I'm like, I'm just gonna hang out here for a little bit, right? Because you get used to it. He didn't get used to it, but he's stubborn. So he just sat there and watched me and sat there and waited. He's like, okay, when are we going in? I said, I'll go in a little bit. And he sat there, I think it was about 20 minutes in that water.
I was so cold. It was crazy.
And then we went to Red Robin afterwards, and he ordered a coffee, had his coffee, scarfed out a salad, and then turned on the heat in the car and just sat in the car while we all ate.
Oh, wow.
I still feel it right now.
Wow.
So you played for the Saints for a little bit. You were down in the NFL. You got the feeling of being in the NFL. We just found out that Streveler's back in Winnipeg.
Yeah, news came out.
Yeah, and he just signed here again. So Winnipeg's going to be pretty pumped about all of this. What would your advice be for him? Because you've been there, right? You've gone from the NFL back to the CFL. He was down there for a fair bit of time, though. So what would your advice be for a guy like him that's going to be coming back?
Well, it's the same advice I have to anybody coming back from the NFL, and I witnessed this even when I was, first in the league, where guys would leave and come back.
Yeah.
Didn't matter how long they were gone. Could be a year, could be 3, could be 4. Generally, when guys come back from the NFL, they're never the same player they were when they were in the CFL.
Yeah.
And that's not good, right? That's not good.
You're talking like attitude or
no,
work?
like actually ability, making plays on the field, consistency, everything that defines you as a playmaker, and being worthy of being on a roster and having a starting position, or whatever your role is. Like, guys have typically been worse when they come back to the CFL. Probably, in my guess, would just mostly be because of mental, kind of what happens between your ears in terms of, maybe if guys felt like maybe they're too good, or I should be in the NFL, but I'm not. I'm just gonna go back to the CFL. I don't have to work as hard to be there. I don't need to put in the same amount of work as I did because I have a spot. I'm gonna be fine.
It's the sense of entitlement. I think right?
There's some of it. It's got to be something around there, because, like I said, there's generally guys are not the same players.
Well, and you got guys like Chad Owens. He came into the CFL. I don't know if you were around when he came up here for a little bit. I think he played for Montreal, right?
Chad Owens?
Yeah.
When I played against him, he was with Toronto.
Toronto, right? And not Chad Owens. Sorry, Ocho Cinco. Chad
Ochocinco, he was in
Montreal. So when he came from the NFL, because he couldn't play in the NFL for a while there, and he came to the CFL, he didn't do anything. Like,
No, and
it was tough
and
for him.
obviously, his podcast he's done has admitted how talented CFL players are.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We did watch that. That's correct. Yeah. And the biggest difference would probably be like field size, right?
There's a lot of differences.
The cadence
But I
of
mean,
the game.
just kind of back to the whole point of like guys not being the same player. I watched it time and time again, and when I was coming back to the CFL, it was a point in my mind to make sure that I wasn't that statistic, that guy who came back and wasn't the same.
Yeah.
So when I came back to the CFL, not saying this is all on me, but you guys remember what happened that year.
Yep.
What?
Well, we made it to the West Final that year, 2018.
Okay.
And then the next year, we won it all.
We won it all, yeah.
Yeah. And then obviously there was a lost year, and then the next year we won it all again.
But coming back from the NFL in 2018, I had a Defensive Player of the Year.
Yep, that's correct.
A season, right?
Yeah.
That's not on me. That's coaching. That's teammates all around me, right? But it was a premeditated entire focus that don't be that statistic. But a guy coming back from the NFL was not quite the same player everybody thought he was, and whether I won Defense Player of the Year or not, it wasn't really needed to be the defining moment to say, I'm not that statistic. No. But it was, it was kind of a nice cap on that for me, saying I'm coming back here with a purpose, and I'm still going to be the best in this league, and I'm going to work like that every single day. And
so you're proving yourself to yourself.
Yeah.
You're not worrying about other people.
No, I'm proving it to myself, and
yeah.
And me and my agent had conversations around it, and I told him, "Don't worry, I'm going to handle business."
Yeah. And you came in and you started doing like the workouts, and you started you had a program there as well, right?
Yeah,
that was in 2019 as well.
Started that like right during kind of COVID. But online athlete training. Yeah. So I still have that for people.
Is that to keep you accountable, or are you doing that to?
I do it because I wish I would have had it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I have some of the best solutions for performance training, and speed training specifically.
Yeah.
For athletes, I think, in the world. Like, I've been able to collaborate with so many great professionals from across North America that all have great insights into what makes performance.
Yeah.
That combining all that together is something I wish I would have had.
So I saw that you coached a youth flag football team that was in Minneapolis a while ago, correct?
So that's 7-on-7.
Okay.
Yeah, so not flag, but touch, 7-on-7. Yeah, that's program is called Recruit Ready.
Yeah.
It's a nonprofit organization here in Winnipeg where we have tryouts, and we bring the best of the best here in Winnipeg onto a team, middle school team, varsity team, and we take them and travel to U.S. tournaments and compete against the best of the best in the U.S. And then, long story short, our kids are doing very, very well down there, competing, and we're winning games. Last tournament we lost in the semifinals in a very, very close match, and these kids are proving their ability to college scouts across all of the U.S. Got kids. They've been in our program getting D1 scholarships.
Oh, wow.
One of our kids is going to Notre Dame. Other kids a couple kids just recently have gone to the Gophers, Minnesota, and then a handful to North Dakota. And, we've got other ones kind of all over going as well. So, like, kids are having a lot of success.
Right.
And so, not only do we kind of do the athletic stuff with the kids, and, like, we don't charge kids to come into this program, other than they have a small fee to pay for some travel, right? But like, we are handling and fundraising to provide these opportunities for the kids. Coaches aren't paid. We literally just put all these costs towards getting kids opportunities, right? So it's a pretty awesome thing that we're able to do. I mean, it's not a moneymaker at all.
Yeah.
I see a lot of programs across Canada are about, hey, let's go play this all-star game in Texas against, their select team, and we'll it's going to cost you $1,200 for the trip, and then we got a $1,000 registration fee.
Yeah.
And you practice for 6 weeks, and then we'll go do it, and then it's kind of done. And
Wow.
It sounds like my hockey bill here.
those are money makers, and they're not really about showcasing and developing talent, and where it might provide a little bit of value. Like, we're literally focused on growing talent and ability in a very holistic fashion, right?
Awesome. So it sounds like you're very passionate about growing the youth of today into bettering themselves and getting into the sport. Do you have plans after your career to get into coaching in general?
Well, I kind of already consider myself in coaching, because I'm coaching Recruit Ready. I'm coaching my son's flag football teams, and I love coaching. Like, will I coach the Bombers? No. Will I coach at college? Probably not. No. Like,
you want to do it as a side project?
Like, I like coaching kids. I like coaching youth. I like developing them into young men and women. Like, I like to be able to help them achieve something they never thought possible. Yeah. Because people help me do it, and I've seen some really great examples of what can be successful and what can be failure, and what are the key differences that help kids get to one or the other, right? Because I've seen the best, and I think I've seen some pretty ugly.
So it's more like a mentorship type of role.
It's coaching is mentorship.
Yeah.
Right? Like, as a coach, I can talk to your kids differently than you can talk to them. Yeah. And I can talk to your kid different than their teachers can talk to them. Yeah. And I can get a different response out of them.
For sure.
Than anyone else can.
Can you talk to my kids about playing football?
A number of things you need to talk to.
It doesn't matter what sport. It's sport in general. Coaches in general have a big mentorship role and ability to build people.
Right. Yeah, and I'm trying to get my 9-year-old to he has an arm, so like I really we catch all the time, and we love hanging out and playing football, but he doesn't want to get into it because he doesn't want to get hit. Right?
You have to play flag.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking about trying to get him into. So it's just a matter of him. He didn't want to play hockey for the longest time either, and now he just got into hockey. So this is his first year in hockey. He's 9. He's a little bit behind, but he's loving every moment of it. And I think as soon as he gets on the field for football, he would do the same thing, right? He would love every moment of it. So
football is the best sport in the world.
If you have anything after the fact here that you want to tell us how to get him into it, feel free to let me know.
Okay. So I had a different question here, but you just said that football is the best sport in the world. Why is it better than all the other sports you could play?
I mean, I love a lot of other sports. I played a lot of other sports, but nothing's like football. For the reason of, you can hit somebody as hard as you want, and you get congratulated for it. We can start there, right?
Did you play hockey growing up at all?
No, we didn't have any hockey where we're at. And I realized you can hit people in hockey, but you really can't hit people in hockey to some degree. Yeah. And I'm always like, why is he not blowing him up right now?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what is going on?
When I play NHL on Xbox, though, I just blow everybody up.
It's all hit stick.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, football is different that way. And then,
is that why you play defense?
No, I like scoring touchdowns. I do.
I
broke all the records in my high school. I can carry the ball. If you see me get a pick, I'm the first guy's not tackling me, right? You've witnessed that.
Your kid's following in your footsteps too.
Yeah,
AJ's
a monster.
Nobody catches him.
Yeah, he's a monster. So I mean, but the other thing about football is I think it's the greatest team sport. Everyone has to pull the rope in the same direction. You can't have one person not doing their job, or else it's a touchdown or a massive play. And the fact that the physical nature and the mental nature that you have to combine to be able to execute and win, the grit that requires everyone to kind of be a part of, that is a bond differently than other bonds that are in other sports. Yeah. Just because of the sport requires you to give up your to reach into your soul and say, no, I'm about this. Yeah. Right? I'm not afraid. I'm going to run through you. Yeah. Right? When you have those kinds of emotions and those kinds of commitments to yourself and to your team. Those are different kind of bonds that are built that make football the best sport in the world.
Band of brothers.
It's kind of like that movie Any Given Sunday when Al Pacino makes that speech, right?
It's a good one, right?
And I think it hits everybody. It doesn't matter if you play football or anything, right? It's one that will hit people. And you don't get that in a lot of sports movies or sports in general, right? You're like, baseball is baseball. And it's a lot of individuals and that kind of stuff, right? Hockey, there's individualism too. Basketball, same thing. But yeah, football, it feels like and I wonder, like, the defense and the offense, when they're in the locker room, they're separated in the locker room, basically, right? If I remember.
Well, I mean, to some degree.
Yeah. Like in
special teams guys, I mean, it's generally you'll have like position groups kind of sitting next to each other.
Yeah.
Right. And then special teams guys kind of come from both sides of the ball to kind of pull that.
So, like, what's the locker room like when you've got like a defense that wants to crush a quarterback, and then the protective guys that are playing offensive line, they're protecting a quarterback? Like, what's an interaction like in there?
Well, I mean, obviously, we know we compete against each other to be the best that we can be. So there's a lot of mutual respect, right? Because
feed off each other.
Well, I mean, we recognize that we think we're some of the best individuals in this entire league, and you know, we're honored to be able to compete against each other. Because as rush ends, like Jackson and Willie going against Stanley and Yoshi every single day, like, you're not getting much better reps anywhere else, right? Like,
it's like best on best in their own practice.
So I mean, you know, there's a lot of mutual respect in the locker room, right?
Yeah, that's very cool.
So we're going to get off of sports or football in a second, but just he referenced Any Given Sunday. Is that your favorite? What's your favorite sports movie?
It's probably got to be pretty close to it.
Yeah.
I mean,
there you go.
Like the program's really good. Like, that's an old school one, but it's really good. But Any Given Sunday, Replacements is good too, but Any Given Sunday does give you the vibe and the feel of like a little bit more behind the scenes of good characters and fame world potentially that football, you know, like it really kind of shows you how fame and different kind of things can make people do different things and behave differently and have egos. And
is it Oliver Stone? I think it's Oliver Stone that did that one, right?
I don't know, but it's really well done. And
it almost feels like a gang movie, almost, right? like it's dark and gritty. Like, that's what I liked about it.
I think, I mean, I think it's gritty. I think it's you know, real in terms of just. These are common things that happen all the time.
It's an accurate description.
It's a pretty accurate description. I mean, obviously it's portrayed as a movie, but like,
you
had a ton of NFL guys in that movie.
Yeah.
You know, I mean.
And then you got a guy like LL Cool J.
Yeah. He played a good running back. Yeah, he really did. Like, he like, you know,
he played the character.
Typical, you know, good selfish running back. Give me the ball.
I learned that from Adam Bighill.
I need my yards.
Running backs are selfish.
You know, I need my yards. Give me the ball. Like, but here's the thing: if you're on offense, you better be selfish.
Yeah.
Because as an offensive player, I want the ball every single play too.
Yeah. What's better?
I believe in me. I believe in my guys, but I want the ball because I want to make the play because I believe in me.
Yeah. What's better to hit, a running back or quarterback?
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter as long as you hit somebody.
Eddie just hit anybody.
Yeah, hit anybody. But I mean, at the same time, like, when you hit a quarterback, generally they're more defenseless, and you know, you can really take the air out of them. And, you know, really
just squeeze.
They make funny noises at times. They're almost like sometimes they can be like those little squish dolls. You know what I mean?
Like a dog squeeze toy.
Yeah.
So let's get off of football.
On that note, we're getting off of football.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about money and family. Because that's a topic that everyone likes talking about,
or nobody likes talking about. There's a lot of families that don't talk money.
Oftentimes, I don't like talking about money. So this goes back to I'll tell you about my childhood. When I was growing up, single parent childhood, and I wasn't taught about money at all, and so I grew up having no understanding of it, no understanding of saving, no understanding of spending, and it took me till my 40s till I started really thinking about what I want my money working for me. In your years of growing up when you were a child, what did you learn about money, and how did you take that learning into your career as a football player and as someone who handles money today?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I would say we grew up, I wouldn't say middle class. I'd say probably a little bit, like, if I really looked at it, like probably a bit on the lower class side, and that's just because my parents worked in the forestry industry, mostly sawmills and such, and that business is cyclical, right? It's lumber is trading at $420 a unit, and now it's down to 180 and shit. Now mills are closing, no new logging operations are going on, and it's just boom or bust. And so there was probably some good times, and there was a lot of bad times. And so I didn't feel poor. I felt rich because I had everything I needed from my family. Like, I didn't feel like I needed anything. Where at the same time I saw some friends and their families, I could tell they had a lot more money than us. I could tell their houses were bigger. Everything they drove was better. Everything was better, bigger, better. But I never felt jealous, or I felt like I had everything I needed. So I mean, with that being said, I knew what I wanted growing up. I wanted to never have to worry about money. I didn't want to have to focus on living paycheck to paycheck. I wanted to be able to put money away. I wanted to go as a round goal. I want to be able to pick up and travel whenever I want to travel. If I want to go somewhere and take my family, I don't want to have to look at the bank account and be, can we make it work? I want to go.
Yeah.
And I want to make it work. So that was kind of like always in my mind. And sure, being an NFL player solves that problem really quick.
It helps a bit.
CFL not so much, but it's a start.
Yeah.
But and then kind of is a prelude into my wealth management career. When I first got into CFL, won the Grey Cup right away. I know you guys are salty about that in 2011.
That was the tough one.
Yeah.
Swaggerville went in and got kicked.
Doomed. Yeah, that's right. I got a Grey Cup check. It's pretty big. I invested in it. I used investors group, and I wasn't very happy with how it went. I didn't realize all of the things about the financial markets that I probably should have. Being a smart guy, math, science, like, nothing can prepare you if you don't understand financial markets and how big they are, what's offered, what's typical, and what you should expect. And I was a rookie completely. And so I kind of felt a little bit duped, a little bit taken advantage of.
Cheated,
That basically made me want to be able to educate myself to not make any more of those mistakes, manage my money for the rest of my life. And then I had some really good mentors I met in Vancouver that helped me understand how to manage a business and build a business based on working solely on building portfolios for clients' best interests, right?
Yeah.
Aligning yourself with clients' interests. And so there's not those disappointments, and you can help save those disappointments for people.
Yeah.
And quite often I'm not starting with people who might be making those mistakes right now. I'm working with usually individuals that are, households of, 300, 400, 500 million plus.
Yeah.
So typically they've already figured things out, but, they're looking to find more value in what an advisor and their team could provide. And that's what I'm doing now is, enhancing everything that they are able to do. But it all started from knowing how I wanted to what I wanted to do with my life, and how I wanted to have financial freedom and flexibility, right?
Yeah.
And I have a why. Why do I do this? Because
that's awesome.
I had a bad experience, and I want to be able to help people have a great experience.
That's fantastic.
So the why is the big thing, right? Everything needs to start with that. I don't know if that's your philosophy. That's something that I've recently started doing, is start with why. Whether it's in business, whether it's at work, whether it's with people, why are we doing something, and then work from there, right? So that's awesome.
That's fantastic.
Do you follow Dave Ramsey at all?
Yeah, I know Dave Ramsey.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I think, follow some of his
techniques.
Very simple, straightforward, understanding, eliminating debt. Start looking at interest rate differentials, or whether you're paying down your mortgage or you're going to be investing in kind of a balanced or growth fund, and he has great solid principles to get people started.
Yeah.
You know Dave Ramsey, or you know of Dave?
I know of Dave Ramsey. I don't know him personally.
Okay. I was clarifying the statement.
Yeah, fair.
Which is cool. So fast forward for me, I now recently learned how to deal with money better anyway. I can't say I'm perfect at it. I have so much more growth to do. So I have a 17, 18, and now a 20-year-old, 3 girls. And I see some of the same things that they're starting to do. They're overspending, maxing their credit card, which isn't much anyway, but whatever. They're not saving enough, and I get frustrated at some of the things the choices that they're making. What kind of things would you suggest for a parent who's trying to teach their kids good money management principles without hammering down all the time, don't do this, don't do this, don't do that?
Yeah, I think it's pretty simple that you can get a lot done by saying you can still have fun, you can still do the things you want to do, but you got to pay yourself first.
Yeah.
So every month, we're going to put this amount away in an investment account for you, okay?
Yep.
You need to have this amount of much in a emergency fund. Keep that in savings over here. The rest that comes in, you'll keep paying yourself every month, and then you're going to still have the ability to go through and pay your bills every single month, and you're going to have the ability to have your fun discretionary expenses that you want to do, eating out, going out,
PF
Chang's, all that, right? Like you have the ability, and you should have you want to have the ability to do that. Like, you got to enjoy life.
You can't just swirl it all away.
Yeah, but then you have to pay yourself.
Yeah.
And if you don't pay yourself, you're always gonna be in trouble. You'll never be able to get out of that cycle. And honestly, time is your friend. The earlier you start, like I can show you example after example. An 18-year-old starting, as simple as $50 a month, to a 30-year-old starting at, $500 a month. That 18-year-old who started at 50 and did 50 all the way to that point would have the same amount of money as a person potentially who started at 30 with much larger contributions. So time really is your friend in starting early, in starting something. Like you just have to start.
What percentage you typically would tell someone who's 18 to put away from their check, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I typically recommend 20%, right? 20% of what you bring in, you should save.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So moving on from kids, and I'm not throwing any of my kids under the bus.
No, because you said you had 3, and some of them are.
They have varying degrees of difficulty in saving. So they say in marriage that people marry their opposites, and one's typically a saver and one's typically a spender. Is that the case in your household?
Probably. Probably. Sorry, Christina. No, she'd probably admit it. I think she admitted that she didn't grow up in a household that where they talked about money, and they had a structure in place per se. And with that being said, I mean, out of when she got her job, she did start a savings plan. She did automate some of her paying herself.
Yeah.
But she would tell you that she spent too much, and being young and being single, like, you have the ability to make those mistakes.
Yeah.
Right? You do. Should you? Probably not.
Yeah. She's in the same boat as me. I did the exact
right.
same
Like, I mean, you only live once. Like, like she had a couple awesome trips to New York that, if you said, hey, you shouldn't do this, and that means you can't do that. I mean, there's some opportunity costs you got to look at. But like, at the end of the day, if you're always paying yourself, you're going to put yourself in a pretty good position no matter what.
Yeah.
Staying on the topic of marriage, they say the number one reason for divorce in a marriage is money related. What advice would you give to a newly married couple to get on the same page immediately?
Yeah, I think budgets really help, just because it's very tangible.
So for me, I'm just going to cut you off there.
Yeah.
For a spender, as soon as we hear the word budget, and this happens to me, as soon as you use that word, it's like a keyword that makes my brain go spinny, 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 and I just tune out, because it seems like like for someone who likes to eat, it seems like the word diet. It's like a curse word,
right? Well, you want to make sure you have common expectations of each other, and being able to at least your budget can be spend all our money or save all our money or anywhere in between. But as long as you guys are both on the same page, you're probably going to have a good working relationship, right? You probably agree with that.
Yeah, I would.
Now, so you have problems when one person loves to spend, one person loves to save, and then there's disgruntlement in between.
That's where the fight's going to happen.
That's where there could be issues. So, putting that on the table and saying, hey, if we want to, what are our 5-year goals from now? What do we want to do? Bing, 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 bing. Okay. Yeah. How are we going to get there? I mean, Dave Ramsey writes this out, and anyone can follow that simple blueprint and really hammer that out. I mean, this is not new rocket science, but it takes effort. That's what we're going to say, right?
It's like a diet. Right?
It takes commitment, it takes effort, it takes focus. Yeah. You got to maybe put a couple nights away from Netflix and streaming tonight or this week to be able to crack down on creating a plan. Yeah. Once the plan's in place, go back to watching your shows, doing what you got to do, and just work on executing the plan. But you got to make time for making this stuff happen. If you don't make it happen, it won't happen.
Do you think that your dedication to fitness, football, and just your dedication to those kinds of things has helped you be dedicated to finances as well?
Yeah, my dad taught me early on, if you're going to do anything in life, do it to your best of your ability. Yeah. And that's something that's always resonated with me, and anything I do it to the absolute best that I can.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I don't I'm just going to try to get it by and then I can go do what I really, I literally try to do everything the best of my ability.
No shortcuts.
Yeah, and so I think that discipline has led me to a lot of great places in my life. Obviously playing professional football, obviously in the wealth management career that I am now, the success I've had in both of those careers, everything from my marriage to my friendships to everything. I bring that back to the amount of effort and focus and commitment that I have to all of those areas, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. I'm going to move on to our next topic here, because you said that you have that commitment and you have that determination, and I think that I've seen you put that into some of your philanthropy work and some of your work with charity, and I wanted to talk a little bit about Making Faces. I noticed that you guys just recently partnered up with Making Faces Canada, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, so I've been on the board, and there's been a lot of changes kind of over the last 7 years in terms of just refreshing the board and reinvigorating, I guess, the mission, right? Yep. And we're looking to expand and do more, and that's always the goal, I think, as a charity, is how can we do more. And we have a really good board that's set now here, headquartered through Winnipeg and in Winnipeg, and that group of people that we have is going to be responsible for a lot of growth and a lot of, which just means more help, more services, more programming for kids within craniofacial networks.
So if you could just spend a second just to clarify what Making Faces involves, that organization, just for people who don't know.
Yeah, so Making Faces, it's a charity that focuses on working with kids with facial differences, craniofacial differences. With that being said, we've worked with kids of lots of kinds of differences, not just, craniofacial, but, that's been kind of our typical market that we've worked with. And we run different kinds of programming for them for the specific purposes of, if you have a facial difference, you're going to have naturally less confidence, cleft lip and palate. There's often a lot of speech problems. So we need to work on speech. You're not going to be the loudest person in the room. You're going to kind of want to hide in the corner. So working on projecting your voice, and just really social integration, right? Feeling like you're just like someone else and you shouldn't be treated any differently. There's plenty of charities that work on getting the surgeries and getting the help that kids need when they're young in families, but not anyone's doing really much of anything with social integration and building these people, these kids, into the confident human beings that everyone else takes for granted that they just have. Right? And so growing up, I didn't have the best confidence of all. I had terrible confidence, despite being prom king, homecoming king, football player, star guy. Like, I still had very low confidence, and so those are things that we look to fix. And so we run different programming from, age 0 up to 18, right? And that could be workshops to engage these kids to improve those kinds of things that we're looking, like the confidence in the speech, and we're running speech pathologist workshops, specifically bringing in a speech pathologist, or doing music and voice lessons for the kids, or doing theater lessons, or even just doing fun things like taking them to the arcade and just having a fun time, right? Like, so we kind of do everything, and we connect with the families too.
Do you find so you're the president on the board now? Do you find that your experience and your life experience is a great way to get in front of those kids and to show them that there's so much more?
100%. There's the reason why I wanted to be involved, is because obviously I wanted to give back to those that are growing up, going through a lot of what I went through, bullying and name calling and all kinds of confidence issues and all those kinds of things. On the social side, and I know what it's like to go through and go to speech class every week from 1st grade to 6th grade. I know what it's like to have all the surgeries and have braces from grade 1 to grade 12, and all this kind of stuff that it's just not normal for other people.
You lived it.
I lived it, right? So I know what everyone's going through. And just want to help them understand that you can be whoever you want to be, and you should not feel like you're less of anything, and reach your dreams.
So that's awesome. That's fantastic. I have a close family member who has a cleft palate as well. It's more pronounced, and they grew up in a way where, like you said, everything was internalized. They wanted to hide in a corner. These kinds of things. And they never really grew out of that. They kind of formulated their adult life to this day.
Sure.
How did you? Because obviously this program didn't exist when you were growing up. How did you overcome that to the place where you come across as being very confident in everything you do?
Yeah, it's a great question. I had a great support at home. It did the best that they could. My parents looked after, made sure I was well taken care of, always checked on me, gave me as many tools as they could to make sure that I felt empowered. But still there's something lacking, right? I would say, having my first girlfriend was like a confidence builder, right? That was like my senior year. That really helped my confidence a lot. And I never thought I'd have a girlfriend, so that was a big confidence builder. But then even to where it really made a difference was when I was with the BC Lions, and I started doing a ton of school speaking, like public speaking. Like something I would have told you I never would have done for the reasons we just talked about. Or I started talking to auditoriums of anywhere from 100, 250 to 1,000 kids and sharing a message. I got really comfortable with that, and it was uncomfortable to start with, but that built my confidence in a whole nother way, right? And
do you think that built your confidence speaking in front of the team as a leader, or do you think that speaking in front of the team as a leader built your confidence in speaking in front of the kids?
I would say I've always felt comfortable around my team and confident within my teams because I've always been well respected on the teams I've been with, because I lead by action, and then you're able to lead by using your voice. But I think that the entire school speaking stuff was a totally separate confidence builder for me in terms of just helping me open up my ability to feel that normal confidence, right?
No, that's awesome. It's it's like we can see it when we see videos in the locker room, like when the Bombers post videos of you doing the speeches or you riling up the team and that type of thing. The other thing we can see too is just you coming out after a game. My kids got to meet you one time after a game, and they were so pumped, right? Because not every player does that.
Sure.
But because you're in the community and you come out and do stuff like that, I think that's a great leadership quality that you bring to the table, and talking in front of the kids and everything like that, that's awesome too. So
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah. We've got a final segment that Tim has prepared here for most of our guests. What we're going to do is this or that segment.
Okay.
So this or that is basically, it's kind of like a would you rather.
Okay.
You pick this or that, and then you can explain whether or not you can explain why you picked this or that, or we could just go to the next one and we.
It's a bit of a game show here.
Yeah.
However, before we go into this or that, I got to ask you this, because everybody's talking about this in the NFL. What do you think of the whole Taylor Swift?
Oh, I knew that was coming.
Jason Kelce taking his shirt off. It seems like this year they've gone away from the no fun league, the NFL, and they're gone to this whole thing where it's Taylor Swift, it's Jason Kelce, it's his brother. Are you an old school guy that's getting annoyed at it? Do you think it's a fun thing? Like, where do you stand on this?
I'm all good for the promotional stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, I understand what pays the bills. Right?
Yeah.
It's people who care about, all these things around the game, around the personalities, around everything. So,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I would prefer they didn't show Taylor's reaction after every single play.
So you understand it, but you don't like it.
Well, it doesn't have to be every single play.
I heard the Bombers have put Christina in a specific place for the stadium this year, and after every Bighill sack, they're gonna pan to her and the kids.
Oh man, So I mean, at the end of the day, a little bit's okay. Like, let's not flood the entire thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Let's go.
Are we ready for this or that?
Let's go.
Okay. Morning person or night owl?
Morning.
What's your breakfast, by the way?
I typically fast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same.
We talked about fasting a few episodes ago. That's interesting. Okay. How long do you fast for before we get into anything? I like to stop and delve.
Kind of depends on training. Like I would do a modified fast if I'm training. Like I'll have like BCAAs and like maybe a protein shake right after, but I won't have like typically food until 12:31, sometimes 2.
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes all the way until dinner. It just depends on the day.
Awesome. Great. And what kind of meal? You said what meal breaks your fast? It's usually. Would you say?
Sometimes it could be protein shake, or it could be like a smoothie is what I like to do too.
Awesome, great.
Yeah.
Would you rather hit a running back for a loss and a fumble, or make $5,000 on an investment?
I'll say the hit and the fumble first, and preface that with it. Depending on the amount of money we're working with, it's easy. It could be very easy to make $5,000, right?
This is on $1. $1 investment makes you $5,000.
$1 makes you $5.
Yeah.
And how many times can I do that?
Well, this is something you've done one time. Yeah.
Just a one-time thing.
Yeah.
And I'm doing it for myself.
Just like me sacking a quarterback.
I'm doing it for myself just once.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll do the sack.
Okay, well, we could test it out. You could hit Greg as hard as you can and see if you can make me $5,000 and see which one makes you smile better.
Okay.
And then next, would you rather sit through a Taylor Swift concert or run a marathon?
Oh. I'll do the Taylor Swift.
Okay. Would you rather climb a mountain or sit on a beach?
Climb a mountain.
Would you rather score a touchdown or shoot under par on a golf course?
Ooh. Well, I've scored touchdowns before, so let's shoot under par.
Okay, good thing you haven't done. If you had to give up one forever, which one would it be? Potato chips or chocolate? Can't have it for the rest of your life.
Potato chips.
Potato chips. That's a good answer. That's mine too. Fireworks or parade?
Fireworks.
Okay. Would you rather live on a ranch in the country or a loft in the city?
Probably a ranch, yeah.
Okay. Romantic comedy or science fiction movie?
I like both, to be honest, but like I'll put sci-fi would be better.
Sci-fi. Country music or R&B?
R&B. I don't like country.
Okay. Netflix binge or reading a book?
I do both.
Got to pick one.
Netflix binge is
I'm
easy to do.
I'm gonna stop you on this one. Preferred football ops guy, Darren Cameron or Brad Foddy?
What are you guys doing to me?
I know.
It's not my question. It's his.
I'm friends with both these guys, so that's why I asked.
Okay.
You don't have to answer.
I will say Brad Foddy because Darren Cameron's not football ops.
Well, he says he is.
Sure.
All right.
His office is with the football ops.
Pre-game, listening to pump-up music or quiet meditation before a game?
Pump up, yeah, for sure.
Dogs or cats?
I'm allergic to both.
So neither.
I'm probably more allergic to cats.
Okay. So
Even though I had a cat all the way until my senior year of high school, and I never knew why I was all congested.
Oh, no.
I went to college and was like, why can't I breathe? That's not normal.
I can smell the macaroni I'm making.
And then I figured it out.
Allergic to, well, you learn something different about you. That's interesting. Yeah. Instagram or TikTok?
Instagram.
Winnipeg Jets or Vancouver Canucks?
I'm a Jets fan now.
Nice.
Well, you have to say that.
No, I am.
Okay.
I was only partial to the Canucks because I lived there. My wife will tell you that she's a Canucks fan through and through.
Okay, well,
She's from Vancouver, right?
Well,
so
she has to be. So
she can fly her home flag, right? It's
fair.
It's good. So that's what we got for you today. We really appreciate you coming on, joining us here. This has been fantastic. I've learned a lot about you. Now that I know that you're allergic to cats and dogs, I'm glad I kept the dog in the room. And then some other things. It's been great to kind of get to know you a little bit differently than just being that football guy.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Because everybody gets to see you as that football guy and the interviews after a game and all that kind of stuff. We personally want to know the person behind the person. So it was fantastic talking to you. We appreciate you opening up.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
That was fun. I thought it was a great interview. I really enjoyed the parts where he talked a little bit about why he stayed in Winnipeg, what he thought about Winnipeg when he first came here, because obviously, Winnipeg doesn't leave a lasting first impression. It's kind of like that girlfriend you got to go on a date with a few times to understand how special she is.
Special.
Special.
No, I really enjoyed, and some of the areas, like a lot of athletes, you just think of them as a football player or hockey player, whatever it is. But some of the other things that they are into, I know for Adam Bighill, from the economic points of view, what he does for a living to help people, and all of his charitable work, it's quite interesting. He's not just a football player, and he does a lot for the community. So I really appreciated it, and I really liked the interview. I thought it went well.
It went well.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for watching again. We appreciate you for clicking the old like button right below. Smash the like button, as they say. Hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed already. 90% of the people that watch our episodes are not subscribed. Did you know that?
90%. That's almost 9 out of every 10 people
are not subscribed. So click the subscribe button, hit the like button, share it with all your friends, and get your earballs ready for next week. We have another new episode coming up.
It's going to be awesome. Looking forward to it.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot. Have a great one.
Thanks for watching the Greg and Tim Show podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, and share with all your friends. Sharing is caring.